What's going on, guys? It's your boy Chris, aka Tactic, coming at you guys with another video. And in today's video, man, we break down day number 3 recap of the FIFA 2026 World Cup. And in today's matches, we definitely had, I guess, some, I wouldn't say upsets, but I would just say like we had some favorites that people expected to be first, drop some points. And it was just a game of, it was a day of some tough battles, I will say, because none of these games were easy at all. All of them were very low scoring games. And, a lot of these teams, a lot of these people expected some of these teams like Switzerland and Brazil and Scotland even to just run through or even score more goals. So, let's break it down. So, starting off with the first game, we have Qatar and Switzerland. And honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I give a lot of credit to Qatar for this game. I mean, to get a point, I think it's their first ever point in the history of the World Cup for them. So, congratulations to them on that. Switzerland were definitely expected to control this game. We know how the Swiss play. Being on the ball is something that they're really good at doing, and especially getting in behind to their striker and Bolo. You know, the way their midfield play is like they're very good at controlling the ball. And honestly, I thought Qatar in this game looked way more comfortable and way better in possession than many people expected. I think a lot of people didn't give them too much credit. And I will be honest. I mean, coming into this game, I don't remember my exact prediction, but I know I had Switzerland winning. And honestly, Qatar shocked a lot of people. Now, I didn't expect Qatar to be terrible, but I also didn't expect Qatar to take a point away from Switzerland. I know Switzerland isn't like the exact same like they used to be, but I still feel like in this group, you probably have Switzerland first or second. And a result like this for Qatar is really good for them to keep their hopes alive in this World Cup. But yeah, I think their defense was very great. They were very disciplined on defense. They had a structure. They knew what they were doing right from the get of the game. They limited Switzerland's dangerous chances. However, I will say that I think Switzerland, like they definitely had a lot of chances. I mean, they had like 10 shots on target or whatever. I just think they were very wasteful with a lot of their opportunities. I think that they have talent up top, and I feel like they weren't able to showcase that. I think just one goal, and it's obviously from a penalty, which was very controversial, as a lot of you guys may have heard, with the system and everything going on. But whether it's controversial or not, I mean, the goal counts. You got to play it how it is, 1-1. But again, not a goal from open play is very poor from them. I don't think this is a great performance at all. I think that when you have that many chances and you have certain players that play in big leagues, you need to bury a couple of goals and take this Qatar team out early. Because we said it, the first games are always the ones that are the most pressured. I think once you get going, it's way more easier to not lose certain games. But, it's just tough. And I think Qatar's midfield too, very good. Worked extremely hard the entire game. They were denying them time on the ball. Switzerland didn't look comfortable on the ball a lot of the times. I think Qatar was just quick to get to the ball. Like I said, they knew what they were doing. They knew they were going to play on the counterattack, and they had a lot of, they had some chances here and there, and eventually late they did bury one to take a point, which again, it counted as an own goal, which is really unfortunate. It's a horrible way to, lose 3 points there. Luckily though, I mean, they still got 1 point. So again, obviously, I mean, I wouldn't even say luckily because I think Switzerland should have won this game, but you know what I mean. Like at least they didn't lose the game. They still had a point each. But yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. It's the World Cup. A lot of this can happen. And I think a lot of it will happen. There's always some upsets and some stuff that goes on. And again, this looked like one of the first ones that had happened. And yeah, so there you guys have it. And the good news with this draw, right? Because Qatar and Switzerland are in the same group, I believe, as I think it was one of the host nations. I'm gonna check real fast. They're in Group B, yes. So they're in the same group as Canada. So now this group is all a point. This is the first thing actually that I thought of when this happened, and I was thinking right away about the group. I'm like, oh wow, like this group all has a point. So this is going to be really interesting and come down to the wire. And I also think that Canada, with how good they looked, if they would have took that win, I think they would have looked cleared in this group. Because so far, I will say, I think from all these four teams, I think Canada looked the best so far. But again, even Canada and Switzerland will still be a good battle between both teams, especially because both of them didn't look. I think Canada looked better, but I think both of them should have got 3 points. But yeah, let's move on to the big one though, okay? Because there's a lot more to talk about in this one. So Brazil Morocco 1-1 again. Obviously not a crazy result because we know Morocco's very good. You know, this is I think it's the 6th versus 7th place team, if I'm not mistaken, or I know they're really close in rankings. So again, not a crazy result, but I will say a lot of people did have Brazil winning this game. Again, it's not crazy that Morocco tie this game or even win because you guys know how creative Morocco is. But I still think that when you're a team like Brazil, you need to get 3 points. And I think starting off with 3 points is huge. Again, neither of these teams though, it's horrible because these two teams were the favorites in this group. So I think a point each is just going to come down to who can score more against the other teams. I do think that Brazil obviously have the better quality. So that's why I had them first in this group. But I will say, dude, I'm always concerned with a team like Brazil because I think a team like Brazil, they don't play like collective as a team. They play more like by themselves sometimes. And a lot of the times you see like they have the passes and they just like players are just taking other players on and they're not they're not playing as a team. And I think that's going to bite them. And that's kind of why a lot of the times Brazil isn't always the favorites now like they used to be before. But I think in this game though, Morocco's defensive structure was incredible. They played like their defense was so good. Like whenever Brazil entered, they immediately collapsed. Like I don't know if you guys saw, but Morocco was playing like a triangle defense. Every time a Brazilian player would get the ball, they would come in and suffocate as a triangle. So it'd be so hard, like for Brazil to keep the ball, and Morocco would just intercept every pass. Especially when Brazil played quick, Morocco would just get the ball right back. And I think Brazil's attackers they were often forced wide. So every time Brazil came to attack, like try to attack, they weren't forced in the middle. They were forced to go wide and kind of make those plays. That's kind of why Vinicius was the best player because I feel like every time he would go wide, he would like beat defenders and it would be really hard to defend him. But I feel like with Rafinha, for example, he didn't really get too involved because I feel like most of the time they were double and triple teaming him. And when you have two really good wingers on Brazil, one of them's obviously going to have a good game like Vinicius did. But I mean, it's tough, obviously, for Morocco. But I still think they did an incredible job. I think they're definitely going to be satisfied with the point against a team like Brazil. But they definitely got a lot of they were there to second balls. They disrupted Brazil's rhythm. Like you could see Brazil wasn't one. I mean, obviously they have a new coach. It's they don't have a playmaker, so it's not. But again, we can't cut the slack off Brazil and say, oh my God, Brazil didn't have this. Like Brazil has a lot of good players. Let's like, come on, they're one of the best teams, not only just historically, but even right now. So credit to Morocco, credit where credit's due. Um, but I also think Brazil like to point the concerns, I mean, so many careless giveaways. Like if you watch their midfield play, every time they tried to break down through the midfield, they would just have careless turnovers, careless passes that just they were rushing too much. They weren't passing the ball properly how they wanted it to. You could just tell that it wasn't flowing. Their build up play even didn't look good. It was slow. They relied on like I said, individual brilliance. Like the entire game, they didn't play as a team. Individual players like Vinicius trying to take on multiple players even when they got the ball to their striker, like he got good crosses from both sides, but most of the time, like when they didn't finish it early, of course Morocco got one as well, which we expected both teams to score. I don't think this game would have finished like 1 or 2-0. I think it was 100% expected that both teams score. So again, big result there. I think both teams getting a point. It's not the end of the world, obviously, and especially not for Morocco. But this just shows that Morocco is here to play, man. In the last World Cup, they did their thing. They showed that it wasn't a fluke. They showed that they're here to play, and let's see if they continue that. I'm going to be really interested to watch. And a little bit of praise to them, man. Tactical discipline. Their organization was good. They had confidence to come out in the first game where a lot of Brazilian fans are there and to just shut them down like that and take points away from them was absolutely amazing. So we're gonna see how this continues to play. But as of right now, I like what I'm seeing from them. Moving on to the final game, guys, we have Scotland versus Haiti, and honestly, I think Haiti, uh, again, their defense, I like the way they defended. Um, Obviously, Scotland controlled possession pretty much the entire game, I'd say. It was definitely hard on them to score. I think Scotland though was very patient. I think in this World Cup, when you see the adjustments made at half, and even with the breaks that they get, I think when you see like the halftime, you know, like the teams are gonna turn up and do something. And I think that's what happened with Scotland. I think you know, them pressuring a lot. And I think, over time as the game went on, I think they started to, figure it out a little bit. And they obviously got one in there. Obviously a post by McTominay as well. Could have been up two, even 3-0. But I think, yeah, like their pressure, the way they played. I mean, and no doubt in nobody's mind, Scotland wouldn't have lost this game. It does suck that it was only 1-0 and it wasn't like a 2-3-0. But again, hats off to Haiti for only losing by a goal. I think that's another nation where people, probably count out, so to only lose by one goal again is great. I think they had great defensive effort, physicality, their work rate looked very good. I think that's key, just being a workhorse against these teams, trying to make them work for it, just not giving them anything for free. And I think Haiti really showed that. I think for Scotland, though, there was positives as well. They didn't panic. Like I said, they waited a while until they got a goal. They were chill about it. They made sure that the game got to them and they were going to get their goal whenever they got it. They knew they were going to get it. And they, yeah, like I said, they took advantage. They got the opportunity and they took advantage, and boom, just like that, 1-0. But yeah, I mean, the bigger games here mainly was the Brazil Morocco game, obviously, but even the Qatar and Switzerland game it was just so much to take in. So I mean, again, at the end of the day, when you get the 3 points in the World Cup, it obviously means something when you can get the extra plus 3, 4, 5 goals even. But sometimes, man, it's better to just win than lose. And especially if you're a favorite in the group to at least finish first or second, even, I feel like just the 3 points is already good enough. Like it's okay, especially when you have that fourth place team that you could just pound the goals on. So I feel like it's not the end of the world for them. But for Scotland though, it does suck because obviously they're in the group with Brazil and Morocco, and I feel like Brazil and Morocco are hungry for that first place, even second. So yeah, that goal difference, like you needed to score goals on Haiti because you're gonna have to play against two other powerhouse teams. So we're gonna see how that unfolds, man. Maybe a third place team to look out for Scotland, but at the end of the day, man, uh, you know the teams look pretty good. And yeah, so that's gonna do it for the video. I don't want to make it too long. Again, we're trying to limit. We're not gonna talk about everything, but we're gonna try to give like little, gists and breakdowns of each team, what we thought about the game here and there. And we're probably gonna have a double upload today because it's hard when there's so many games going on and you're trying to watch everything at once. So it's definitely not easy at all. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for me. It's been your boy Chris. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts. Whatever you thought about the video, your thoughts, your predictions, all that good stuff. And again, your boy Chris, and I'm out. Peace.